Now for your forecast first. WRBL News 3 First Alert Weather.
All right, not only is it Monday, but it's gloomy outside. It was foggy this morning, overcast skies. If you're looking for sunshine, you got to wait a couple of days. Temperature's not bad, 57 in Eufaula, 51 for LaGrange. Here's how we're rolling today. Overcast with maybe a little drizzle here still. Off and on 66 for a high temperature, so we'll go above normal. You can see that flow coming from the south. More opportunities for rain as we go into tomorrow. I'll talk all about that coming up. This is WRBL News 3 on your side.
How the city of Columbus is asking for your feedback in renovating or building a new government center.
Lawmakers have just days to reach a deal on border security to avert another government shutdown. I'm Natalie Brand at the White House. Why talks have broken down.
Plus, how Alabama is under more pressure than ever to offer better mental health services to prisoners. The region's #1 midday news starts right now.
On your side, this is News 3 Midday.
Good Monday afternoon, everyone, and welcome to News 3. Thank you for trusting us as your #1 local news source at noon. I'm Greg Loyd. We start off this midday with the big story. The first of 3 public meetings about the future of downtown Columbus's government center will be held tonight. News 3's Chuck Williams has been following this story, and he tells us what's at stake. Chuck?
Greg, there's a lot on the line here. The future of the government center is something that will have to be addressed by Columbus Council. City officials and councilors started hearing options last fall, but this is the first time they've heard public opinion. And all you have to do is look online and know there's a lot of public opinion on this. The tower and 2 wings are in disrepair, and busted water pipes and flooding last year exposed many of the issues. Aaron and Clements, a Columbus-based construction management firm, has made 4 recommendations to council. Those recommendations range from demolition and new construction on site to moving the courts and administration offices to other sites. The city has also hired 2 local architectural firms, Heck Bertishaw and 2WR, to assess the 4 options. The first meeting will be held this afternoon from 4 to 6 in council chambers at the Citizen Service Center off Macon Road. If you can't make it today, another meeting is tomorrow evening from 5:30 to 7 at the Salvation Army Community Center on Warm Springs Road. In case you missed those 2, there'll be a third one next week. It's a plan for Monday. It runs from 5:30 to 7:30 at the Faith Worship Center off Victory Drive. Greg, we'll have more on this on WRBL.com and also on First Edition and evening edition later tonight.
Okay, Chuck, thank you so much for that. Across Georgia this midday, the search continues for a disbarred attorney accused of murdering his mother. The U.S. Marshals Service says now a $5,000 reward is being offered for the capture of 44-year-old Richard Merritt. Authorities say Merritt could be anywhere in the country. He went missing just before he was scheduled to turn himself in to serve a 15-year sentence on frauding his former clients. Authorities say to consider him armed and dangerous and call 911 if you spot him. Across Alabama, a 61-year-old hunter in Pike County is dead in an apparent hunting accident. Troy police say the man was shot in the chest by a high-powered rifle while hunting on Saturday. Authorities believe the man he was hunting with thought he was a deer and opened fire. No charges have been filed, and that investigation continues this afternoon. Across America, Denver teachers have gone on strike after failing to reach a deal with administrators on pay. Teachers started the strike this morning. It followed a weekend of failed negotiations. It's the latest action in a wave of teacher activism.
We're looking for a fair and reliable pay system that actually retains teachers in Denver. We've had a 20% turnover rate year after year.
The school district says schools will remain open during the strike and will be staffed by administrators and substitute teachers. However, the district has canceled classes for 5,000 preschool children because it just doesn't have the staff to take care of them. In political news this midday, President Donald Trump will be near the U.S.-Mexico border in El Paso tonight. Over the weekend, you see them here, people gathered there to protest the wall along the Texas-Mexico border. Trump is trying to convince people that he'll continue the push to build the long-promised border wall. It will be his first campaign rally since November's midterm elections. El Paso is also home to presidential 2020 Democratic challenger Beto O'Rourke, who will be joining a march through the town to protest the border wall at the same time as Trump's rally. Well, Congress is running out of time to find a compromise on border security before another partial government shutdown begins. And talks between Republican and Democratic negotiators broke down over the weekend. Natalie Brand has more details from the White House.
Republican and Democratic lawmakers are meeting again this afternoon in an attempt to revive stalled negotiations over border security and funding the government.
Time is of the essence. We need to move forward. We need to keep our eyes on this. But I'm very hopeful. Not positive, but very hopeful we can come to an agreement.
Talks broke down over Democratic demands to limit the number of undocumented immigrants that can be detained by capping the number of beds in ICE detention centers at 16,500. They say they want the Trump administration to prioritize detaining immigrants with criminal records over families. But Republicans say ICE detains criminals and a cap would hinder that mission.
Cutting down on the number of beds, which would actually force them being released into the United States. I know that's not going to be supported by this administration.
President Trump tweeted this morning, "The Democrats do not want us to detain or send back criminal aliens. This is a brand new demand. Crazy." President Trump will put his border wall demands front and center tonight when he holds a rally in El Paso, Texas, near the U.S.-Mexico border. The president has said he wants $5.7 billion in border wall funding. Right now, congressional negotiators are looking at between $1.3 and $2 billion for a border barrier, mostly new and replacement fencing.
You cannot take a shutdown off the table, and you cannot take 5.7 off the table. But if you end up someplace in the middle, yeah, then what you probably see is the president say, yeah, okay, and then I'll go find the money someplace else.
Without a deal, a new partial government shutdown would begin at midnight Friday. And Natalie Brand, CBS News, the White House.
Now, as Natalie said, the deadline may be Friday, but a deal needs to happen much sooner in order to give Congress time to pass a bill and get the president to sign it. Around the world, the Mexican government is vowing to strengthen its security measures for journalists and human rights workers. This after a journalist was shot and killed while having breakfast in Tabasco Saturday morning. Jesus Ignacio Ramos Rodriguez is the second journalist murdered in Mexico just this year. Ramos hosted a radio show that aired twice daily. The motive for the shooting is unknown. For more information and these on other stories that we have for you, join us on our social media platforms. And remember that WRBL.com is always available 24/7 around the clock. Well, new at midday, the Southern Poverty Law Center says 13 people have died from suicides in Alabama prisons in the last 14 months. The SPLC held a press conference with victims' families from in front of the State House Friday, asking the Alabama DOC to investigate. This also comes on the heels of several pending lawsuits between the SPLC and the Department of Corrections.
I've been involved, my colleagues and I at the Southern Poverty Law Center have been involved in prison litigation in this state for over 30 years.
Now, the DOC says building new prisons will allow them to centralize mental health needs. The governor and the DOC are expected to announce their plans to address overcrowding in the prison system soon. Federal authorities will now take over the investigation into an officer-involved shooting that killed a Birmingham man on Thanksgiving night. 21-year-old Emanek E.J. Bradford Jr. was shot by a Hoover police officer in a case of mistaken identity. Officers were searching for a shooter inside a shopping mall who had injured two teens. The Department of Justice has been reviewing and is continuing to investigate the shooting. Alabama's Attorney General announced last week that no charges would be filed on the state level against the officer who shot and killed Bradford. The Troup County Sheriff's Office is mourning the loss of one of its beloved long-serving canine officers. Biko passed away after a long medical battle this past Friday. He served with his handler, Lieutenant Nathan Taylor, since 2010 when he was 2 years old. On January the 18th, Biko retired from active service due to his medical battles. He died at Lieutenant Taylor's house on Friday. During his career, Biko helped catch a good many bad guys, helped find missing people, and assisted with seizing millions of dollars of illegal drugs and money. Sheriff James Woodruff says the entire department appreciates all of Biko's loyal service and adds he'll be missed by everyone. Still to come on News 3 Midday, can you spell victory? We'll take a look at a local spelling bee and one area school system and tell you who won. But first, meteorologist Jeff Kelly is back with your full forecast next.